Hi all, welcome to PowerShell for Penetration Testers at Pentester Academy. In this video, we continue with our discussion on PowerShell remoting, and let's discuss one-to-many remoting. We earlier saw little usage of the invoke command commandlet. Let's get back to it and use it for various purposes. Let's quickly run a command using the script block parameter. In the script block parameter, we pass the command or commands we want to execute on a remote machine. We can pass sub expressions, etc. too. Let's run it on local machine on my domain. As you can see that all three commands were executed on the remote machine. So this makes invoke command quite easy to use. Now, one drawback with enter PS session or PS session was the inability to execute PowerShell scripts easily. With invoke command, we have a parameter called file path, which accepts paths to a PowerShell script and then converts that PowerShell script in a script block, which is invisible to the user, and executes it on the remote machine. Let's execute a simple script, so a simple hello world script on the remote machine. As you can see that the script was executed on remote machine. So this way we can execute scripts. Let's try running a more complex script which is meaningful to let's run let's run a script from this tool called Nishang, which is written by me. Let's run get information. Need to make a function called here itself. Why so we will discuss later. Let's make the function call here. And now if we execute the script, we can see that sorry, we can see that information about the remote machine has been accessed. There are some errors, but those are because of the absence of some of the files or registry keys the script was looking for. So this way we can execute even large scripts on remote machines. Now, how do we execute modules on remote machines? Let's try passing the power operator which we saw earlier to the file path parameter. You can see that PowerShell threw an error and says value of the file path parameter must be a Windows PowerShell script file. That is, we cannot execute modules this way. So a simple way could be this: we can import the module locally, and then we can use invoke command this way to execute commands. Let's run get information function. This time we would be running the get information function. Or let's run some other functions so that we are sure that it is not the older one. Notice that we may not receive an output because WLAN is not configured on the VM. Though we got an error, but you can see that we were able to execute a function. You can execute any of the functions available with Power Operator here, or for that matter with any module. The only thing to keep in mind is it is really hard to pass non-positional parameters to these functions. So in such cases, it is better to execute individual scripts as we did with the get information script. Again, keep in mind the special format of the script block. Now, why are we labeling our remoting discussion as one-to-one and one-to-many? Because the PS sessions we saw earlier, those could be used only with a single machine at a time, whereas we can use the invoke command with multiple machines. We can pass here, let's pass here domain PC and the domain controller of my domain. Let's use the domain administrator credentials Now you can see that the functions or the commands were executed on both of the machines. Now we can also pass a get content and list of servers here, which will do the same thing as our previous command. We remember that we also, in couple of videos back, we also achieved a similar thing with the help of a for each loop. The difference here is invoke commands does execution on all the machines in the computer name parameter parallelly. So it is much faster than using a for each loop. So there are significant performance gains if you are running it on large number of machines. So I think that is enough for this video. Let's do a quick exercise. Write a PowerShell script which searches for the presence of strings like password, username and credentials, etc. in the C drive or the C directory, and then run this script on remote machines to get access to any sensitive data. I think this is all for this video. Hope you are enjoying your time at Pentester Academy. If you are enjoying your time at Pentester Academy, please do recommend us to your friends and colleagues in the information security community.